Welcome to Employment Law This Week. I'm George Whipple. Our top story, for want of a comma. It seems punctuation was a key factor in a recent class action suit from a group of dairy delivery drivers in Maine. The First Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that an exemption of the state's overtime law is ambiguous enough to support the driver's overtime claim. The drivers argued that the exemption applies only to workers who pack perishable food products for distribution, and not those who actually distribute the products. On appeal, the First Circuit agreed that the missing Oxford comma makes the driver's reading of the exemption a reasonable one. Michael Thompson has more.
Different courts will apply different standards when they're evaluating ambiguous statutes or regulations. Some courts will look only at the text of the statute or the regulation itself. Some courts will look at the legislative history of a statute. In this case, the First Circuit said that the Maine wage hour law had a remedial purpose and it was intended to pay employees time and a half when they worked more than 40 hours in a work week. It was unclear if it applied in this case, but given the purpose of the statute, the First Circuit would presume that it was intended to pay these plaintiffs time and a half when they worked more than 40 hours in the work week.
The 11th Circuit rules that Title VII does not prohibit sexual orientation discrimination. A security guard at a hospital in Georgia alleged that she was harassed at work because she is a lesbian and does not conform to gender norms. A split panel for the 11th Circuit partially affirmed a district court's dismissal of the case, holding that Title VII does not cover sexual orientation. However, the panel gave the pro se plaintiff a chance to amend her complaint to claim that she was discriminated against for not conforming to female gender stereotypes. The decision is at odds with the EEOC's interpretation of Title VII. Pending cases in the 2nd and 7th Circuits could create a split that will likely have to be resolved by the Supreme Court. President Trump calls for cuts to the DOL budget. The White House's 2018 preliminary skinny budget proposal would cut $2.5 billion of funding from the Department of Labor, scaling back the agency's budget by 21%, possibly hampering the DOL's enforcement and investigation efforts. Among other proposed cuts, the budget would eliminate the Senior Community Service Employment Program, which provides job training for seniors, and scale back training programs for disadvantaged young people. The budget would boost funding for investigations into fraudulent unemployment insurance claims. Filing a charge of discrimination may get even easier. The EEOC has announced a new online filing system for those claiming discrimination in employment and hiring. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission has launched online portals for people living in Chicago, New Orleans, Charlotte, Phoenix, and Seattle. The new system will allow those living or working within 100 miles of EEOC offices in the pilot program to submit inquiries and schedule intake interviews electronically. Finally, last week I had the pleasure of attending the SIFMA Compliance and Legal Society annual seminar, and I brought our Employment Law This Week cameras along. Each year, this seminar gives those of us who provide legal support to the financial industry an opportunity to hear directly from leaders in that field about the issues that are important to them. So here's SIFMA's President and CEO, Kenneth Benson, with our tip of the week. He's got some advice on how to stay on top of regulatory changes under the new administration.
There's a lot of discussion about what's going to happen with financial rules, what's going to happen with Dodd-Frank. We think it's a sea change from where we've been, but this is going to take some time. I would look for activity at the regulatory agencies, at the Treasury Department, at the Fed to start to shift, because again, the posture towards the industry has shifted about 180 degrees, but moving that battleship around is going to take some time. So got to keep moving forward on what you have in front of you, but start thinking about where you could make changes in the future.
Thanks, Kenneth, and thanks also for putting on a great conference. That's it for Employment Law This Week. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.